Hey guys, so I've kind of been playing around with some other ideas around these CLI agents and accessing them in new ways or unique ways. And I sort of came up with this package. Right now it's called @treesap/terminal. And you can look through the README that's mostly AI generated, but it is pretty cool. I think there's some potential for something really useful out of it. And let me just show you how it works. So what we're going to do is kill this terminal here that we have running. I'm going to clear it out. So you can see that I have this folder here. We have Gemini 3 test. And what we're going to do is just run npx @treesap/terminal. And you can see what it does here is it actually spins up a terminal server on your local host. And you get a UI around that. You have a WebSocket server to listen to the things that are happening on that terminal session. And then you have an API as well. So the API is still something that I'm experimenting with, but it is pretty cool because you essentially have your local terminal exposed on your local host. And all of that to say, you need to be really careful using something like this. If you're on a public network, don't use this on a public network that you don't trust other people that are on the network with you. But it is pretty cool on your local, like, private network, right? So let's go ahead and open up localhost/terminal. And you can see that I just have a www folder in here. Let's cd into that. Got a little node module here, npm start. Server's running on localhost 3000. We open that up. Hello from Express, little Express server. Cool. So now we're going to open up Claude. And there you go. We have Claude Code running in our local host in the browser, right? So this is a terminal session running in the browser. Once again, I'm going to reiterate, don't use this on a network that you don't trust with people on the network that you don't trust. You are exposing a terminal session on your network. But there is some really cool things here. And a lot of these CLI agents have sandboxes in them too, enabled, right? So hopefully if you're running these, you aren't too worried, like you know what you're doing if you're using something like this. But let's go ahead and tell Claude, I want this to be a cool website for my SaaS vibe coding platform. So we're going to let Claude do its thing. I might have to pause it and come back depending on how long Claude takes on this. But it's just looking through the packages and it should be able to serve this simple website. So you can see there's some potential here for a lot of things, right? Like being able to access your terminal on a local host on the network with these CLI agents enables some potentially really cool things. Like this API example here, right? You have the session ID, current working directory, environment variables. You can set the environment variables for that session, right? Like there's some pretty cool things that you could do. You could actually programmatically launch one of these CLI agents on your local host. So it would spin up, do the thing that you asked it to, and then spin back down when it's done, just by sessions, right? So this kind of goes along the lines of my previous video where I'm playing around with these CLI agents and what we could potentially do with them. And this is just one of those experiments. So let's cancel that. We'll go back here. This session is currently running. So it looks like Claude is doing its thing. I think we all generally kind of wish that these tools were just a little bit faster, but you can only ask a magic box to be so magic, right? You could even potentially fork this and go crazy with it if you want. It's pretty straightforward. The code is live, should be. Might be on another branch. Sandbox 2, so I'll go ahead and merge that into the main branch. But yeah, we've got a pseudo terminal running with Node-pty, and then some documentation there. So feel free to take a look at it. The most basic, rundown of how this works is it's basically a Hono server that is running locally, and it's sending WebSocket messages back and forth between the local terminal session, and then it's sending that to, in our case, on the UI side, it's sending that to the session that's running, right? So it creates a new terminal with XTerm. Right now, this is just a really basic HTML page. We could go really crazy with styles if we wanted to. But the idea is it sort of un-IDEs the IDE, so to speak. So if you're like a lot of developers, you're used to using the terminal inside of VS Code or Cursor or wherever you're using your terminals. But this sort of plays around with the idea of not using an IDE and just exposing that terminal session locally so you can programmatically play around with it. So we'll see if it turns into anything. If it doesn't, that's fine too. Just an experiment that I wanted to share. And it is kind of nice too, like inside of Chrome, I can actually, there's like this new feature in Chrome, but you can do this with like Arc and Dia and other browsers where you can do like a split view. So I could have a split view of like another tab, localhost 3000, which is not running anything, but localhost 3000 would be this one right here. So this is kind of a new feature of Chrome. It's pretty cool. Let's just tell Claude to run it. So run the server, please. So you can see I basically spun up this in my terminal and then went to my browser. I didn't go and open anything else. It's saying, are you sure that you want to start this? I'm saying yes. It's pretty cool. So the classic AI purple colors, but yeah, so Claude Code ran in my browser, not technically in my terminal. It's running right here in this little session over here. And with these split terminals, or these split panes, I can do everything inside of my browser without leaving it. So yeah, just an experiment. I don't know what will come of this. It could just be a little experiment, but I think it's pretty cool. I'm going to reiterate, don't use this unless you trust other people on your network. But that's true of a lot of things that any of us developers are using. Don't use it unless you trust everyone on your network, or use a VPN. So yeah, we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.